So guys, we are here today with John Agnello of John Agnello Photography. I want to make sure that you guys understand that he has over 40 years of experience that he's willing to share with you today. So we're going to cover some of the basics of photography. We're going to make sure everything's good and great. We're going to start off with some interesting questions for John one-on-one. But first, the best question is, John.
Thanks, Andrew.
How are you feeling today, John?
Andrew, I'm feeling great. Thanks for coming over today. I really appreciate this, man.
We're actually coming to you in John's studio located in Wayne, New Jersey. Okay, that's right around the corner. It's a beautiful setup. He has different scenes, all these different types of lights to make sure that he captures you correctly.
It's almost like we had a big studio a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We have about a 2,000 square foot studio, but this one is more like a Soho studio.
Yes, it's definitely more Soho feel.
Right.
So if you want that New York feel but local,
can you feel the love?
that's where the love is. That's
And you know
where the
what?
magic is.
I love this place because my background is oils painting.
Oh.
So I went to Original School of Art and Design, associated with visual arts in the city. So it kind of reminds me of my Soho days.
Oh, okay. So in a sense, when you kind of crafted this studio, you kept Soho in heart.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true.
Awesome.
So we're going to go ahead and jump on a few questions.
Great.
I have them down here. Full disclosure, a little bit of a cheat sheet, but I wanted to make sure I have it right because we have to make sure that we're talking about it precisely for you, for both new photographers and photographers of experience, right? You never know what you can learn today.
I love it.
So the first thing that I do want to talk to you about is mastering lighting. And I feel like that's going to be one of the biggest things for photographers.
It's so key. A photographer really is, in Webster's dictionary, a painter of light. So we paint light, we record light. So when I use lighting, a lot of people use the sun, which we use, but basically I'll put the subject with the back towards the sun. So it gives a specular highlight around the subject.
Okay.
And then I'll use the reflector, taking the natural light and bouncing it back into the subject. Like this bride that we're going to show you here by the gate. It's a really soft, beautiful picture. Her veil is highlighted from the back and the reflector from the front. And it gives a beautiful, natural look.
So that's in many ways one of the techniques you would use to manipulate light.
Right.
That's what you're doing with
Because what we're doing is we're taking the light and we're bouncing it back into the subject. So many photographers use flashes. And we're going to get into that. But the flash flattens the subject out. It's like a bright thing all over the person. It could be a wedding, could be a portrait or whatever. But when you use reflective light, you have shadows and contents there. It looks great. A 3-to-1 ratio where you have the light on the first of the part of the face, a little bit of shadow, but you bounce the light back in with a reflector.
Okay, with a reflector.
And
all right.
that gives life to the image. The next illustration I want to give you is a photograph that we took of Manhattan. And it's really cool. What we did is we took over the street. The bride and groom and the bridal party were just hanging back there. So what I do is, as a photographer, guys, we need to lead the people together so they don't know what's going on. So here's what I said. I say, hey guys, you got to get together, and you're holding hands and you're happy and free and you're just looking at each other. And that brings life into the subject, right?
Yes.
And that keeps everything with expressions on their faces natural, not so posed. That's another shot of natural light.
Using natural light and getting natural poses.
Natural poses. Okay. And the other one that we want to show you is this other photograph that we did in, it was a barn wedding, which is really cool. Again, we just used natural light with a little bit of reflector. We're shooting with a long lens, so we're letting them have their space. I think a lot of photographers, they don't give them enough space. Photographers and videographers are up on their face, but once you back up a bit, oh my God, the magic begins, Andrew. And it looks great.
On that subject, let's say you're a photographer first time when working with somebody. How do you break that ice? What's a great way to kind of help break that ice between you and the beauty you're about to capture?
So the first thing is you need to talk to your client. If it's a portrait, if it's a headshot, a wedding, you need to get a common denominator. You need to let them relax, get their zone just to relax, and then they fall into the pose. So basically, even when we're shooting models or influencers, they're very big, and somebody might be, I got to do this, got to do this. Take your time. talk to the person, get to know their feelings, get to know their likes, their dislikes. So this way you're not putting them into a pose or a situation that they don't feel comfortable in. You know what I'm saying?
That's very important.
And then you got to work them. Like, oh my God, baby, that's beautiful. It captures them. And here's what it is, guys. We tell them that you matter. It's not about us, but it's about you.
Okay, that's some great tips right there, just to make sure that you get that. What I want to talk to you about next is composition secrets.
So the composition secrets are amazing. So basically it's a 3/3 rule. Everything is a 3/3 rule. Basically it's a third, a third, a third. You want to capture that. You don't want to keep everything directly in the middle.
Correct.
But you want to give it space and composition. Dynamic range.
Dynamic range. Okay, can you, and
Say you have a piece of paper. You divide it into 4 pieces. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
The fourth corner
the fourth corner,
is like the most dynamic part of the photo. So if you have the subject bottom right-hand side and you're photographing this, it's going to have more of an impact. Because here's what we do, people. We read left to right. So you're reading left to right. So as you're looking at the photograph, your eye comes into the left,
okay,
hits the right part of the subject, the right corner of, and then you come out of it. But basically, your eye will stay on that one person, that subject. If you have something that you're using, the 3/4 rule or the quarter rule,
yes,
basically, if you have something in the first quarter, like as soon as you go into the image, there's a picture, your eye stops there.
You see, it's very important that you get the experience behind all this, because if you're jumping into it brand new,
Right.
this could all be new to you. And one thing that John has explained to me is that sometimes a lot of photographers stop before they really get started. And I think what's great about your experience is that you share that with them. And that's going to encourage them, because much like if it's new to me,
Right.
now there's someone out there to help teach me.
Right. So my goal as a photographer isn't to keep my secrets together, like, oh, I got this. No. My feeling is this: if it's beginner or advanced, share what I've learned, and let them take it and roll with it. So, is my stuff rules? No, it's just something that I came up with over the years that I could share with young photographers and other photographers that are older. I mean, I've photographed this model. Mm-hmm. And did a great job with her. She loved it. And then guess what? I'm not the only photographer photographing her. Then other people photograph her too. So what they do is they picked up some things that I've done in their portfolio that they liked, and had the other photographer add on to that. That's what it's all about. It's all about making your images pop out of the page. Again, I can't stress it more. You have to light the eyes. The eyes of the photograph are the soul of the photograph. Once you light the eyes, the whole picture comes to life.
Oh, that's absolutely good.
Come on, can you feel love, brother?
That's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Now, what I want to talk to you about is something that is often kept a secret a little bit.
Sure.
But
what's up?
What I kind of want to discuss a little bit is the behind the scenes.
So
talk a little bit about that, John.
Yeah. So behind the scenes, we're going to basically do a video behind the scenes. We'll show you step by step how the client comes into the image, comes into the studio, our approach to talking to them, sitting down with them for a little bit, not just jumping right onto a photo shoot, but discussing a little bit more about it. And then we're going to get into lighting. We're going to get into reflectors. Hey, this is a reflector. Let me show you. This is a reflector. So what we do is we use reflectors. Actually, on this next picture we're going to show you, it's a model that came into the studio. It's shot with a softbox.
A softbox. Okay.
Which is like a creative light, where we did reflectors on the side, and then we use other lights like the side light to like an accent light. So I call it accents lights. You could call it a garlic light if you're Italian. You know what I'm saying?
Light.
To add
Yeah.
a little bit more zest to it. So your image is coming in this way. Your light is coming in this way, the main light. But you have accent lights behind the subject, on the side of the subject, which makes that one-dimensional image look 2 to 3-dimensional. And I think that's what I do a lot of, and that's where my success is at. So that's what we're doing. So many headshots. We're doing magazines. We have We just picked up our 7th magazine.
Wow.
Andrew, are you ready for this?
7th magazine. Talk to me.
So in 1 week, we got 3 calls for different magazines.
Wow.
Yeah, of course I wanted to do it, but guess what? They got in touch with me. Why? They saw my work in other magazines and are like, I got to use this guy. And I'm like, oh my God, it's such an honor to do that. But
Yes.
I want everyone to succeed in photography, from the amateur to the professional.
See, that's all great advice.
good,
So that's
right?
a little bit behind the scenes. 7 magazines, that's amazing. 3 in 1 week is huge.
Three in 1 week that they called me.
They
Which I was
called you.
surprised of. And then we just got other calls from hospitals in the area that we had to give a price list. So they're like, listen, John, we need photographs of all the doctors,
Okay.
all the surgeons for their website. And so I gave them a proposal on that. Here's what I did, guys. I gave them a half-day proposal, a full-day proposal, retouch proposal, and then per image proposal. So if they wanted to come into the studio, this is what it is in the studio, and we include A, B, and C.
Now, that is something that actually I would say a lot of photographers may be
Right.
shy on.
Right.
The business aspect of it, talking a little bit about pricing. What he spoke about just now is very important.
It is.
He gave
Key.
the client options.
And how many options did I give him?
Yes,
as many as I could think
Yes,
of.
you gave him, right now what he stated, I believe, about 4 great options.
Right.
And what I also want to state is that this wasn't just one. This was for all the doctors in a hospital. This wasn't going to be a small task. This was
Right.
going to be a larger feat.
Yes,
And what he
yes.
did was he didn't go and try to bonk him over the head with something. He said, well, these are the options. This is what I could do for you. This is how I want to work with you.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that as a photographer you yourself should do. You don't have to be as rigid, right?
So limited. You can't limit yourself. Listen, you're out there. I'm going to be sharing more about this. You're out there selling yourself, but you got to figure out the client. What are they looking for? So it's kind of like everything you could possibly think of. That's why we added even extra retouching in images too.
Yes.
So we gave them, we gave them a half-day rate, a full-day rate. Then we gave them per image retouching rate.
See?
Then we gave them a studio rate if they want to come into the studio, make an appointment, in the studio, and a rate, and that was together also with a separate rate. So we gave them so many different options. It's kind of like it's a win-win-win situation.
That's excellent. Now let's talk a little bit about seeing how we're on that topic, right?
Come on.
What's going on during the shoot? So let's kind of explain a little bit of how you're going about capturing, making sure that you really bring that picture to life.
It's about posing. On a male, broad light. So if this is my chest, the light's going to come in this way to make me look more broad, more handsome. The other way is for women is basically the light's going to come from the other side. So it's not broad lighting them, making them wider, but it's a narrow light coming off to the side, which is going to make them look a lot better. When you're shooting headshots with women, especially with their hair, you better have some kickback on different lights on the side to bring back their hair, their sculpture, and the side of their face. I think that's one of the keys, Andrew, that we came up with, basically, is to have a wraparound look to the image, because photography, again, is one-dimensional, but we're trying to break that rule and making it look three-dimensional. So I think that's why our images really pop out at people, because we use, on a headshot, we'll use 1, 2, 3, 4 lights on a headshot. And they're going to be all different types of lights too. Some's going to be tungsten, some's going to be flash, some's going to be a beauty dish. Okay. But we mix it all up. Like a painter has all their oils out there and he mixes them up. It's the same thing as we do as photographers.
So what I want to talk about right now is we did the subject, we took the photos. The shoot came out excellent. Now we're going to talk about a little bit more of the magic that happened behind the scenes.
Okay.
Which is the editing.
Oh, wow.
So let's talk about a little bit of what you like to call cooking.
Yeah, so basically, editing is really important. Of course, we use Lightroom. A lot of photographers use Lightroom. Yes. But for the fine detail stuff, for the images that they're picking out, their 5 images that they're picking out, I'll go into Photoshop. And we have recipes which we created over the years. So One is digital flash, where we just pop in a little bit of flash with Photoshop
Yes.
into the eyes, just a touch.
Okay.
And I'll get into that too. I'll probably do it like another one on YouTube, one for on Photoshop, actually showing you how we're using the tools.
Okay.
And the opacity of the tools and so on like that. So we use Photoshop a lot, and we use our recipes. And our recipes is, we have different recipes. We have about 40 recipes for black and white photography. Hey guys, guess what? In black and white, it's black and white. It's not gray and white. I see a lot of images photographers put up, and it's all different shades of gray. Black and white is 18 values from your whitest white to your blackest black, and everything in between it.
That's beautiful. See, 18 values, there goes something that I didn't know. Primarily, because most people, when you see a black and white photo,
Right.
well, black and white, you think two.
Right,
That
black
shows
and
actually-
white.
Exactly.
I get
So
it.
now you have 18 different
Come on.
values, and that's experience teaching.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that is. So, with all these different recipes,
Yes.
right, that you were able to apply to them,
Right.
let me ask you a question. What is one of your, I guess you could say, kind of favorite shoots to capture? And I know that's to put you on the hot seat.
I would
but
probably say in the studio.
In
because
studio.
In studio, I have so much available for me. Like as a surgeon has all these different tools, I have all these different lights. I have tons of flashes, different types of light, beauty dishes, available light we use a lot, reflectors, but we use a lot of gel. So when you come into the studio is where I could really even do more than you ever think or imagine.
Speaking of locations and speaking of shoots,
Yes.
John, where are you located?
We're at 573 Valley Road on the corner of Sylvan Terrace and Valley Road in Wayne, New Jersey. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. You could even try Facebook. If you DM me on Instagram, I will get back to you. We have almost 20,000 followers on Instagram. And actually, Andrew, guess what we're doing?
Talk to me.
We're doing a special. If you're our 20,000 person that likes us
okay.
on Instagram, we're doing a free photo shoot for you.
That's excellent. And also, I heard that you actually just had your whole website redone.
Yes.
What's your website?
Oh my
What's your
God.
website so people can
Hey
book?
guys, check this out. JohnAgnelloPhoto.com. You're gonna love it. It has everything that we've done from fashion to babies, commercial, weddings. You name it, we've done it. Magazine, a lot of magazine stuff on there. JohnAgnelloPhoto.com. We'll see you soon.